An unfortunate incident of fire has killed 2 and left 2 others injured in Biratnagar. Also in this edition of Kantipur News, we have updates about the continuous heavy fighting in Gaza and the ban imposed on Russian and Belarusian athletes. Good evening, I'm Prarambha. Let's begin with the main stories. Parliamentarians expressed concern regarding the lack of transparency in transactions of shares of Ncell, demand actions against those disturbing investment environment of Nepal. Prime Minister Dahal expresses commitment of assisting young generation in scientific researches, adds goals can only be achieved with collaboration. Heavy fighting continues across Gaza. 600,000 people under evacuation orders. Israel Army calls on international community to do more for release of 138 hostages. And Olympic sports federations asked the International Olympic Committee to allow Russian and Belarusian athletes to compete as neutrals at next summer's Paris Games. 2 persons have died while 2 others were seriously injured in a fire at a storage facility of Sat Ghumti in Biratnagar. According to Morang police spokesperson Ranjan Kumar Dahal, one of the deceased has been identified as 30-year-old Deepak Mandal of Biratnagar 7, while the identity of the other is yet to be ascertained. Mandal had breathed his last while undergoing treatment, while the other individual had died on the spot. 55-year-old Rita Sardar and 60-year-old Sushila Paswan were injured in the fire and are undergoing treatment. Police has said that 80% of their bodies has suffered burns. The fire has been extinguished while the cause of the fire remains to be ascertained. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Home Affairs Shrestha has been admitted to hospital after reporting chest-related issues. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal reached the Shahid Gangalal National Heart Centre earlier this morning to take stock of the health condition of Minister Shrestha. An angioplasty surgery was conducted on Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Home Affairs Shrestha after he was admitted yesterday evening. According to his secretariat, he is now in a stable condition. Prior to this, Shrestha was diagnosed with the acute myocardial infarction during his official visit to China around 2 months ago. In the emergency coronary angiography test he had undergone, it has shown a blockage in the obtuse marginal branch. The parliamentarians have shared their concerns, citing lack of transparency regarding the transactions of shares of telecommunication service provider entity Ncell. They have also demanded assessment of investment and the lack of financial discipline in the transactions. At the meeting of the Finance Committee of the House of Representatives, parliamentarians called for assessment of the issues raised by the transactions of shares of Ncell. They also expressed concerns regarding the statements of companies investing in Nepal, saying that such statements sent a wrong message regarding the investment environment in the country. The parliamentarians have also demanded holding such companies accountable. The parliamentarians also demanded to summon the Chief Executive Officer of Axiata, the main investors of Ncell, main partners in Nepal, Minister for Finance, Minister for Communication and Information Technology, Chief Executive of the Investment Board and Chair of the Nepal Telecommunications Authority, among other stakeholders entities at the Finance Committee. Meanwhile, Ncell Axiata has expressed the commitment of completely abiding by Nepali laws during transactions of the shares of Ncell. In a correspondence with the Nepal Telecommunications Authority, the Ncell Axiata made this commitment. Prior to this, it was revealed that Axiata had sold the shares without pre-approval on December 1. Immediately after that incident, the authority had reminded Ncell about the arrangement, which requires approval before the change in ownership or transactions of the shares. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal has pledged of contributing for young generation in conducting scientific research in the country. Addressing the 41st anniversary of Nepal Academy of Science and Technology, Prime Dahal said that goals can be achieved only with collaboration and coordination. Prime Dahal said, with the development of science and technology, the young generation can remain in the country and create a favorable environment to conduct scientific research. The Prime Minister also said that the government has begun process to include a 1 billion rupees fund in the budget of the ongoing fiscal year for the development of science and technology sector. Prime Minister Dahal had inaugurated several newly constructed buildings and awarded scientists and technical experts as well. Thematic committees of Lumbini Province Assembly are yet to have leadership despite the lapse of a year since election. share of 6 thematic committees had settled after a long dispute. However, these entities are yet to have their leadership. The Province Assembly members are without work as these entities, seen as mini parliaments, are without leaders. The 19th meeting of the second session of the Province Assembly had concluded the members of the thematic committees. Based on the agreement between the parties of the Province Assembly, Nepali Congress and main opposition CPN-UML are to lead 2 thematic committees, while CPN-Maoist Center and another fringe party are to lead a thematic committee each. The government has said that the members of the committees were decided on the basis of consensus, and therefore the chairpersons would also be decided through agreement. The Council of Ministers of Bagmati Province has endorsed the criteria related to multi-year contracts of projects of the province. According to the Province Minister for Industries and Commerce, Land and Administration, Ramkrishna Chitrakar, today's meeting of the Province Council of Ministers has endorsed the criteria. The meeting also decided to promote 5 officials from 10th rank to 11th rank. Deepak Tiwari, Basanta Adhikari, Arjun Prasad Sapkota and Narendra Jha were promoted in the Health Department of the province, while Deependra Subedi was promoted in the Education Department. A 10-bed capacity municipal hospital building has been constructed in Nishikhola rural municipality of Baglung. The hospital has been constructed based on the policy of the federal government to build 15, 10 and 5-bed capacity hospitals in all local levels. Following construction of the hospital at the rural municipality, the local residents will no longer require to travel to headquarters Baglung Bazar, which takes them 2 days to reach. Construction works of the hospital being built at an investment of 109.9 million rupees at Nisikhola Ward No. 4, Jimpa are expected to conclude by next month. The hospital has been built with the objective of benefiting the local residents of Ward No. 3, 4, 5 and 6 of the rural municipality. The hospital spreads over 8 ropenis of land. The rural municipality has spent another 2 million rupees for protective walls of the hospital as the building has been constructed close to a river. The reconstruction of 10-bed capacity Jugal Hospital in Chanote of Sindhupalchok district, which had remained stranded for more than 2 years, has begun. Construction works of the hospital building have begun, which had been stranded for 3 years due to dispute among the local residents who had demanded the hospital to be constructed in Baramchi. The reconstruction works of the hospital building have been started by Mahadev Khimti Anjana Taksar, JV Kathmandu. The 3-story hospital building is to be constructed by the contractor company at an investment of 81.1 million rupees. The engineer of the rural municipality, Sunil Tamang, has said that they have a target of completing the construction of the hospital by the Nepali month of Fagun next fiscal year. The local residents of Tembathan, Tumbatega, among other places of Jugal rural municipality, are compelled to charter flights when they require medical treatment. Farmers of Palpa have received double the price for ginger in relative comparison to the previous year. According to farmers of Nisdi rural municipality who had sold their gingers at 30 to 40 rupees per kilogram last year, they have received 70 to 80 rupees per kilogram for ginger this year. Following the rise in the price of ginger by 2-folds, the farmers are enthused. Ginger worth more than 50 million rupees are produced from the eastern section of Palpa alone. Around 5,000 metric tons of ginger are produced in Palpa each year. Bharatpur Metropolis has begun Mayor with the community program with the objective of providing free health services to the senior citizens at their doorsteps. Mayor Renu Dahal inaugurated the program by handing over medical resources to the health workers. According to the Metropolis, the program will be implemented in 14 wards in the first phase, which will be conducted for a period of 25 days. Around 25,000 senior citizens above 68 years of the Metropolis are to be provided services related to diabetes, high blood pressure, height and weight. A total of 100 health workers are to be deployed for the program. Stakeholders of the tea sector have alleged all 3 tiers of the government of remaining indifferent towards formulation of a clear policy for development of the tea industry. They have called for a collaborative role between the local, provincial and federal governments to address the issues of workers and farmers of tea gardens. At a program organized by the National Tea and Coffee Development Board in Birta Mode, Chhapa, tea workers, farmers and industrialists shared their grievances. Despite 80% works of the tea industry depending on the workers, they have been denied facilities on the basis of their contribution. Farmers have said that they have not received the appropriate price of green leaves and have called for a base rate from the state. In absence of an auction center, tea industrialists have not been receiving a proper price for their tea. Tea industries have said that they have been denied irrigation facility as tea, despite being an agricultural product, was classified in the industry category. Tea is planted over 20,237 hectares of land. 26 million kilograms of tea is produced, while 50% CTC tea is exported to India. 99% of tea is produced in Kosi province, while 70,000 have received direct employment from the sector. With the objective of promoting domestic tourism in Veritar of Thankuta, a skywalk is being constructed. Infrastructures of the skywalk are being built by demolishing the structures of a previous view tower. Kosi Province Investment Authority has issued a 25-year permit for operation of the project. The project being built in the public-private partnership model is expected to cost 300 million rupees. The 50-meter-long skywalk can accommodate 200 individuals at one time. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, what should be done to increase soil fertility? Your options are A. Balanced use of fertilizers, B. Organic farming, and C. Regular soil test. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And now before we wrap up, here's a look into the top stories one more time. Parliamentarians express concern regarding the lack of transparency in transactions of shares of Ncell, demand actions against those disturbing investment environment of Nepal. Prime Minister Dahal expresses commitment of assisting young generation in scientific researches, adds goals can only be achieved with collaboration. Heavy fighting continues across Gaza, 600,000 people under evacuation orders. Israel army calls on international community to do more for release of 138 confirmed hostages. And Olympic sports federations asked the International Olympic Committee to allow Russian and Belarusian athletes to compete as neutrals at next summer's Paris Games. That is all for the moment. Our next English bulletin airs at 10:30 p.m. Thank you for staying with us. Have a beautiful evening.